Claude Code is one of the best tools for investment research, but it becomes completely unstoppable when you decide to use it with Obsidian. And it completely upgrades your Claude Code for investment research workflow to the next level if you integrate Obsidian Vault into this. And I'm going to show you the exact use cases I will use with Obsidian Vault that will transform your Claude Code into institutional grade research assistant. Hi guys, welcome to Alpha with AI. This is Shubham. I've been using AI for investment research for more than 24 months right now. And I also used to manage more than $60 million in direct equities in Indian markets. And I'm going to show you exactly how I use Claude Code with Obsidian for my investment research. But before moving on, I have been running this whole series of Claude Code for investment research, and this is the third video of this series. And something in this video, if that doesn't make sense to you, then I will recommend watching the previous videos and then come back to this video later. And before moving on, I would also like to make an announcement that I have launched a new club called Alpha with AI Club, which is a space for analysts and investors and founders to learn AI, access our premium AI playbooks, and discuss whatever they are learning with other analysts and other investors globally. We have a community of analysts and investors from across 25 countries, and you can take advantage, you can share your workflows. And the most important part is it is always better to learn AI together compared to learning AI alone. And this is the exact problem I'm trying to solve with this club. There's also a premium membership here, which you can explore if you want to access our premium workflows as well. And you can directly connect with me here on the club. Whatever doubts you might have, whatever learnings you want to share, whatever answers that you want from me, I will be happy to give you reply in this club. So by the way, we were talking about Obsidian, and so I will just open this obsidian.md. So this is this Obsidian app which you can download for Mac OS, which you can download for your Windows or whatever system that you are working on, right? So what this Obsidian is, let me tell you, we have set up Claude Code for investment research. If you follow my earlier video, you will understand that how Claude Code is the best proprietary tool right now for your investment research, right? And but what happens whenever you restart Claude Code again and again and again, it doesn't have a memory, right? You have to give a folder access of your local system where you can add certain instructions for Claude Code to understand your background, understand what you want to achieve, understand what it needs to do, right? Which is an agent.md file or claude.md file. But what happens eventually is you keep adding data, which could be financial models, which could be various research articles, which could be, you can say, multiple news articles, financial data. It could be anything, right? Anything you can think of. It could be your in-house templates. It could be something that maybe your investor friend or your analyst friend had shared with you. It could be, let's say, your own thoughts, right? It could be anything, and this data is going to pile up, right? Because let's say you are going on x.com right now and you come across some interesting article on, let's say, technology sector or any other sector that you are interested in, and you don't have time to read it, or you have read it but you might forget it 2 months later, right? Then you need that somewhere so that Claude Code has access to it in the future when you want to do a relevant research on that aspect or that sector, right? And what happens, we have a human tendency, right, where when it takes some manual process of, let's say, bookmarking that article or printing that article, then uploading that article somewhere or adding that article into some folder, then whenever you are doing investment research, going onto that folder, identifying that article, uploading that article. This process is looks really simple, but second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, it takes a toll, because because you are going to come across lots of resources, and this process cognitively becomes tiresome once you start actually going on to your workflow, right? And we as a humans tend to give up on these simple yet tiresome methodologies, because it is, you can say, exhaustive thing to again and again and again collect resources, add those resources, giving access of these resources to different tools, let's say in this case Claude Code, right? So this is where Obsidian comes in. Obsidian is, in a simplistic way I will tell you, Obsidian is a database where you can store hundreds and thousands of different data files that Claude Code can access very easily, because all those data files are transformed or converted into markdown files, which are very easily readable by Claude Code. And the space that it takes to, save this markdown file is also extremely less, right? And you can do this in a very organizable, structural manner inside of Obsidian. So what I'm saying here is, let's say you are doing or collecting some information for the research that you are doing next week, right? And you are going through various articles, which could be from other funds, other analysts, or which could be from, let's say, Bloomberg, right? And it should get saved somewhere in a, let's say, specific folder, which we call, let's say in my case, raw folder. So where all the raw information that you are collecting throughout the internet, throughout your friends, your analyst friends, your own thoughts, all that information gets added in that raw folder in a very organizable manner, right? Then there's another folder that you can create, which will extract right signals whenever you are doing research from these raw files, and those right signals which will be helpful for your research will get saved in that separate folder, again in a very organizable manner, right? Then let's say you generate some outputs through this raw folder files as well as through these signal files, final outputs, or it could be any kind of outputs that you are generating while doing your research, right? So those outputs should stay in some folder, let's say called output, right? And this is really helpful, because let's say you read something in a March con call, might be helpful in something you do in the November of that year, right? And it should stay connected and stay easily findable, easily extractable, even when you are doing research 6 months, 1 year, 2 year later, right? So this is why Obsidian is an extremely efficient system in order to do this kind of complex research system, right? And I'm going to show you exactly how. So first of all, this is obsidian.md. You can download the Obsidian app directly from here, right? I have already downloaded this. I will show you in a second, right? So once you download, this is completely free, by the way. This is completely free, so you can use this for thousands and thousands of different files, thousands and thousands of different nodes, and it still stays completely free. And one of the most important feature of this is it gets synced all across your systems. So let's say you are right now working from home, and you add some article that you found on, let's say, X, and whatever data that you have added so far, all that data, once you go on to your work system or in some different system and you log in there, that whole data gets synced on that system as well. So the most important part is, no matter where you are, your whole data in Obsidian doesn't get disconnected from Claude Code ever. That's the most important part, right? No matter where you are, your research stays on 24/7, 365, right? So you just download this. Then the next thing we need to do is there's one more extension called Web Clipper, right? That we need to add as well. So this is an extension by Obsidian only. You can add to any browser that you might be using, right? I am adding it to Chrome. And once that happens, what happens is it gets added here, right? So you can see here it has been added. So I will show you the direct use case of this as well. And this is like the one of the most important thing. Now I will start showing you use cases of this as well. But before showing that, I need to create one thing, right? So this is where you can find all our Claude Code related investment research articles as well. So here you can see I had given a guide of Obsidian, to install Obsidian inside Claude Code and everything related to that, right? So one very important thing, as I told you, the folder structuring is important. So what I have done here is in my own system, I have created this structure, which is all the raw data gets added to raw folder. All the, let's say, skills that you might create or any knowledge base that you create, right, that whole thing is going to add it to Wiki. So this is your domain. You can write and maintain lots of different things inside this, right? And then there's the output folder, which is third folder, where all the results that you are generating and outputs that you are generating and the reports that you are generating from your analysis will be added here. So these three folders which will form a system which will continue to grow and grow in the future, right? So what you just need to do is open your cursor. So cursor is where my Claude Code is set up. And again, if you want to understand what how Claude Code works, if you need to set up Claude Code for investment research, you should do check out my other video. So I just entered Claude here and my Claude Code opens, right? So just need to ask this one thing, create this folder structure for my knowledge base. So just need to add this into Claude Code and it will create this whole system, like you see present here. So you can see there is this Wiki folder, a raw folder, and output folder. So output folder is where all my outputs stay. So you can see recently I have did a research on Reliance. So Reliance Industries research folder is there. Then there's a Reliance financial model is also there. Then there's certain things that I'm doing regarding insider trades. It is also there. So all the outputs will stay there. You can clean the outputs that you don't need, by the way, just by asking Claude, right? Then you can see the raw folder contains all the raw articles, all the raw threads, all the raw data that I might be reading from all across the internet, right? And if you go and look at this Wiki folder contains Claude skills. So whatever skills that I might have added, so there are some finance skills, right? Then let's say there's a knowledge management folder which will include some .md files which could be helpful to manage your Wiki folder. Then certain things that you create which might be helpful for you for your knowledge management, for your research, could be added in this Wiki folder. So this is how it's going to work. So important thing I'm going to show you now, of the use case of this web clip. And let's say I will take just one example, right? So I'm going through different articles, let's say, and this is a really good website that I found, and I'm going through different articles. And let's say I like this article about tech companies and how to find the next winners. I have thoroughly read this article and I think it makes sense to me. So I need to add this to my Claude Code via Obsidian. So I will just go into here and I will just select this Obsidian web clipper and I will just say add. What happens now is Obsidian automatically opens so exact article like this inside of Obsidian, right? It includes the images, it includes everything. But what it has done is it has converted that article page into a markdown file, So what is the importance of markdown file? You also need to understand. Markdown files are very easily readable by Claude Code. And second thing, instead of, let's say, reading a PDF or reading different files, it is always easier on your coupons as well. So as you well aware, there's a certain amount of usage that Claude takes for every output or every conversation that you are having, right? And there's a cap limits for pro plans, for max plans, for different plans, right? So that context usage gets saved if you are using markdown file instead of, let's say, a PDF file or, let's say, any other file format, right? So this is why markdown file is extremely important. It is extremely less in size, and it is also helpful for your context usage as well, right? So this article has been added here, as you can see, where it has been added. So it has been added inside raw folder. You can see it has been added automatically inside of raw folder. So one thing you need to set up again, you need to add one more thing inside Obsidian, because these images are extremely important as well, right? Because you can have a manual look inside this as well, but images are not going to be added automatically inside Obsidian. You will have to install one particular plugin from this community section. So this is the community section. You just need to search here local images, and you can find this kind of plugin, and you just need to, I have already installed this, you just need to enable this. And once that is enabled, you will be able to automatically see the images inside Obsidian as well. So these images, in order to add images along with whatever data that you are adding, you need to install that plugin. So this is one thing, right? Then let's say this is done. Now let's say I'm reading something on Bloomberg, right? Any news. So let's say I'm interested in tech sector right now. So I'm gone into tech, right? Then in the tech, let's say uh, I want to understand how big tech's AI ambitions are fueling borrowing a boom. I will read this a little bit, right? And let's say I like this article, I like whatever it is saying. I will just add it. I will go into this Obsidian and just add it here. Done. Done. Right? Again, I will return. Okay, this is done. So you can see the use cases. I can add news articles. I can add various different data as well. So let's say I am in my email, and this is a really good Bloomberg weekend email. So today is Saturday, right? I have received this series of articles inside of a newsletter called Bloomberg Weekend, right? And I want to add this whole thing, right? So what I will do, I will just go again inside Obsidian, and I will just say add. This is a very nice thing that I have received, right? And so let's say couple of articles that I might found interesting, right? So this, let's say, article I found interesting. I will just open this, right? Again, go into Obsidian and just add this directly to Obsidian. You can see the whole article has been added. So this was just one particular use case that I was trying to show you. Now let's say you are onto any kind of a financial website. It could be anything. Let's say it is screener.in, where all the financial data is there, right? So let's say you are doing some kind of industry research and gone into market pulse, and you have gone into industry overview, right? So you want to understand the rebound sectors, right? You want to study the sectors which could be a good case for rebound sectors, right? So I have just filtered it here, and you can see 50% down, 30% down, 34% down, right? So these are the sectors, and these are like 187 different sector data, which includes market cap, average sales growth, the 1 year median return, right? I think this could be a good starting point for me. So I will just add this again to Obsidian. That's it, right? So this is again done. So now let's say I am studying one company as well. Right now I'm researching one company, which could be, let's say, Reliance Industries. What I will do now, This includes all the balance sheet, profit and loss statements, and all these statistics of ratios and various financial parameters, right? I have customized this according to my screener. What I will do now is just add this to my Obsidian. So you can see now, I will just show you, right? So all the various financial peer parameter is there, right? Then quarterly result data is there, profit and loss data is there, right? Balance sheet is there. Everything that needs that was on the screener page is there, including all this financial statistic data, right? So you can just see how helpful this is. So now traditionally what you will have to do, right? One thing you can do is, let's say, copy this URL, go into, let's say, Claude Code and ask, or go into, let's say, Claude or ChatGPT and ask it to maybe scan this and give your analysis of that data, right? Or second thing you can do is just export these files, right? You just need to export these files directly inside Excel, right? And then feed that Excel or save those Excel files somewhere inside local folder. Later upload those Excel files or whatever that you are extracting to Claude or to ChatGPT, right? So this is way easier, right? Whatever you are doing, primary research, secondary research, whatever that you are doing, you can directly add your notes, your any stuff from the internet directly inside your raw files, right? So this is just again another use case. So let's say I am researching a US company right now, and I want to, let's say, understand few data points, right? So I've gone to Finviz, and let's say I want to analyze insider trade data, right? So I have gone into insider, right? So latest insider trading, top insider trading, there are various filters, right? So I just want the latest insider trading data in last 2 days. This is like hundreds of different transactions, right? So what I will do, I'll just again add this to my Obsidian and say add. Done. Again, new article along with all the company data, all the transactions from the insider has already been added. Where this is getting added, this whole thing is getting added inside raw data file, right? So let's say you are a reader on, let's say, LinkedIn, or it could be, let's say, X, right? So I'm on X regularly, and there are lots of articles that I have bookmarked here, right? Various articles. So right now I'm thinking about understanding how, let's say, how to master context engineering, and this is a really good article that I've found, right? So what I will do, I will just open this article here, right? This is very long and good article with very good feedback as well. That's why in the first place I have bookmarked this, right? So I like this and I need to understand it better, and I also need Claude Code to understand this better. So I just add this to my Obsidian. So what happens now? Just see, whole thing, the whole article has been added inside Claude Code. So what I'm saying here is why Obsidian is so unique. Traditionally, what you will have to do, you will probably have to print this page, or you will probably have to copy this whole thing, add it somewhere in your notepad, save that notepad text as a text file, then save that text file somewhere inside, right? And then give that file access to Claude Code or ChatGPT or anything in the future, right? And somewhere in this process, either you are going to stop doing this efficiently or completely, or you are going to, even though you do this, whenever the actual time comes to use that data, use that note in your research or in your work, you are going to not use it because you are mentally exhausted to do this again and again and again. And this is why Obsidian is the best investment research tool you can use with Claude Code, right? So what else you can do? You can do so many different things. You can literally save different posts. So let's say you come across any interesting news or any interesting thing, you can directly add that as well. So let's say, as I showed you tracking insider trading data, right? So you can directly use this on NSE or BSE as well. So this is like a whole 1 month insider trade data on whatever companies that have been sold or bought by insiders, right? So just ask Claude Code to just ask Obsidian to add this to Obsidian, and it automatically gets added. Look and see the whole buy and sell transaction data for whole month of April already added inside, right? So let's say, since you are inside, let's say you want to understand, you want to initiate some research on Indian markets, right? Or any market, right? So I go into market data here, and let's say I go into this equity market, right? So this is equity and stocks. So I want to understand the price movements, right? Volume, and need to analyze this quantitative data and get the right signals out of this data, right? So let's say I want to understand the top 500 companies on NSE, right? So you can see these are like 500 different companies, right? It could be large cap, small cap, mid cap companies, right? So instead of downloading this as a CSV, add that to some folder, then give access to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever that you are using, or uploading, let's say, onto Notebook LM. Look how easy this is, just one click, and just add to Obsidian the whole data, the whole top 500 companies in the Indian market, the open, low, high, the monthly volume, the 52-week low, high, the 30-day percentage change, the whole data from NSE has directly inside your Claude Code. Look how easy this is. So let's say I want to understand some SME market movement as well. These are like small companies, right? Again, I will do the same thing, right? Let's say I want to understand ETFs, the number of ETFs that I have inside Indian market. So these are all the ETFs that are present right now in the Indian market, right? Which are listed on NSE. So what I will do, again, just add this. You just have to wait a little bit for some websites, because it needs a little bit time to convert that data into markdown file. But again, see, the whole data has been added. So let's say something that you don't want, you can just remove this stuff, right? So just whatever you don't want, you can just remove. So let's say I don't want this, I will just remove this, right? The things that are needed are already been added here. So look at the various aspects in which you do research. I want to, let's say, research about ETFs because I want to make a SIP inside couple of ETFs, right? I have the ETF data, right? Let's say I want to understand the Indian market. Let's say I want to research few Indian market companies, shortlist few Indian market companies, right? I have the data, right? Top 500 companies directly inside. Let's say I want to understand tech sector. I have already added the tech sector article here, right? Let's say I come across what else we have added so far. So let's say we have also added Reliance Industries, the whole screener data, right? So let's say I want to research Reliance Industries using Claude Code. I have all the 5 year, 10 year data with me, right? Including all the live stats, right? So the various aspects in which you do a research is kind of, I can see unlimited possibilities here. And this is why Obsidian is the best system I have used in my last 24 months of using AI. And honestly, to me, there's no other system that comes even close to the way Obsidian and Claude Code handles your investment research, especially compared to all other proprietary tools in the market right now. This is the most efficient system I have used so far for investment research, right? And even if you are a seasoned investor or amateur analyst, doesn't really matter, right? This works so easily for anyone, right? So even if I am completely newbie investor, this is still really helpful because you are gathering all this raw data, which is going to be immensely helpful while doing your actual research, right? And even if you are a seasoned investor, then the possibilities in which you do your research are literally unlimited. I think now we have added sufficient files, and I will show you the live preview of these use cases directly inside Claude Code, right? So I have just opened Claude Code, right? And there are so many data files here, right? So let's go on to this exchange traded fund, right? So this is the whole ETF data of the Indian market. So there's a ETF markdown file that I have added inside a raw folder right now. And what I want to really understand is what is the best performing ETFs right now in last 12 months? What are the worst performing ETFs right now in the last 12 months on the basis of that data only? All right. And let's compare these ETFs on the basis of their returns as well as their expense ratios, and let's categorize these ETFs on different parameters that you can think would be helpful for me as a newbie investor. So this has been added here directly. One thing you need to understand, so if this terminal is looking extremely technical for you or extremely, you can say, intimidating for you, you don't need to use terminal really, right? So all the only thing you need to do is just copy this or whatever instructions you want to add, and you can just open directly Claude Code chat here as well. So here literally what you can do is you can literally talk to Claude Code directly in natural language, like you used to talking to ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude directly. You can choose your models here as well. So let's say I want to change my model to some better model like Sonnet, or let's say Opus, right? I can do that as well, right? So it is that simple, but I prefer terminal because in terminal you can see things which are happening in the back end via Claude Code, right? So that's why I prefer Claude Code in terminal, but you can use this simply in this natural language chatbot format as well, right? So I will just hit enter. So one of the things you can see here, you can see the context management. So how much context Claude Code is using right now, because the higher the context usage, faster you are going to run out of your limits. And second thing, the accuracy is going to go down as your context usage is going to increase. So context management is extremely important. So that's why adding context inside Claude Code is also important. I have already added this tip on how to add this inside your Claude Code terminal in one of my previous videos in this series only, right? So it has already created certain output. So I will just ask it to add this to raw file, right? Raw folder as a markdown file, and let's analyze it there. So Claude Code, you need to understand Claude Code, you need to understand one thing. There is a thing called prompting, right? That you need to give a very strict instructions in order to get the exact output that you desire, right? This is not how it works in Claude Code, right? Claude Code contains different skills, right? Which means adding a specific instruction inside Claude Code. Once you add this, you don't have to repeat it again and again and again, right? So raw ETF analysis India. So this is the output it has created. So let's see what it has created. So key takeaways. It has basically added best performance, worst performance, expense ratio, data unavailable. So expense ratio I asked about, but that data was unavailable. So it has clearly stated the data was unavailable. So see category one, which is broad market ETFs, right? So these are like the Nifty ETFs based on Nifty 50. You can see the returns, right? You can see even there, even though these different things are tracking the same index, still the return percentage is slightly different everywhere, right? Then the sectorial ETFs, right? Nasdaq, NYSE, top performers. So these are top performers. So you can see all the US market ETFs were the top performers, including Nasdaq 100, which has given 21% return in last 30 days. It's crazy, right? Then let's say sectoral ETFs, right? Again, sectoral ETFs, you can see last 30 days returns, right? Commodity ETFs, liquid money market ETFs, mid cap, small cap ETFs, along with its 30-day return, 52-week low high, and distance from 52-week low high. So look at the data that you have generated in just 1 minute, right? Just by going on to NSE, adding it inside your Obsidian, and now you have something to do work on, right? So this is not enough for making any investment decision, but this is a extremely good starting point compared to, let's say, starting without Claude Code, right? Then let's say this is just one use case. I will show you one more, right? Which could be, let's say, so this is one of the articles about how IT industry is kind of a middleman, and you need to find basically a capital rotation and where the smart money is moving right now. So this is that whole article, right? So what I will do now is, there's an article that I have added inside the raw folder which talks about how to find next winners in technology, and it says the name of the article is I warn you about Infosys, right? And can you find the right companies that I should look for to research on the basis of that article? Okay. So again, it will start researching a little bit. And let's see what it generates. So it has already generated the output, right? So let's just see the output, right? If you can see, based on this article, the core thesis is about capital rotation from legacy IT services like Infosys to, let's say, toolbooth infrastructure that every vibe coded app must pay to survive, right? So it is basically categorized it into attention tax, plumbing tax, trust tax, and habit tax. So, and what it captures, and then the companies, public companies, it has given me to research. So it has literally given me companies that I should do a research on the basis of that article for, let's say, investment. So these companies are Meta, Alphabet, Cloudflare, right? Twilio, HubSpot, right? And why? What is the key criteria? So B2B SaaS with API first architecture, product led growth. So self serve usage based pricing, right? Companies explicitly named as winners. So there are certain winners that have been named, right? So of course, this is not a recommendation, but you can see the exact things that you can extract directly from any kind of data, right? Then article contains one particular research prompt on how to research these companies, right? And article tells it to research it via Gemini. That is what this research prompt is about. But I can literally ask Claude Code to use that prompt, and let's find what it gives me, right? So I will just ask Claude Code, yeah, run this research prompt inside Claude Code only, and let's see what the kind of results it gives me. So it will start running this. One of the tricks that you should use while running Claude Code. So sometimes Claude Code result might takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes, right? Depending on the complexity of the task. And let's say you want to do something else as well inside Claude Code only. So you can just start a new terminal, which will count as a new session, or literally you can use here BTW. So what BTW means is you can ask questions on a completely different topic while the actual process is running. So Claude Code will not stop doing what it is doing currently, and you can ask different doubts or different issues completely on a separate topic here by just using this BTW tab. So output has been generated. It almost took 3 minutes to do this by Claude Code. So let's see what it has been generated, right? So it has given me this watch list of different companies, right? Which includes Cloudflare, Twilio, Meta Platforms, Amazon, Palo Alto Networks, MongoDB, right? Then in module 3, so this was module 2, it has totally given me, I believe, 17 companies. Module 3 includes extinction lists, so I should avoid or short these companies. So Accenture, Salesforce. Then module 4, which is second order effects. So this includes Meta, Google, CPM's rise, cyber fraud explosion. So what it has done, it has created this whole research MD here in the output. So let's go and check it out, right? Let's check out this whole file, right? So infinite app supply shock, mapping the growth tax toolbooks. So executive thesis module 1 is basically the growth tax opportunity map. So it has certain framework. On the basis of that, look at the companies, the direct causal revenue link, private threat level, pricing model, KPIs to track. Look at the details that it has given according to the companies they should avoid. So extinction list, so companies I should avoid, why I should avoid, it has given that bear thesis as well, right? Then module 4, chaos variable, this is what we are discussing. So again, not relevant to us, but you can understand the things that it generates, and it has even given me a disclaimer, right? So again, this is not any investment recommendation of any kind. This is just me showing you couple of use cases that you can use from the Obsidian's output, right? And how efficient this whole system is. This was all today about Obsidian and how Obsidian has literally turned your Claude Code into an institutional level research assistant. And the things that are possible with this system, I mean, there are hundreds of different use cases I can think of right now, right? And this was again the third video inside our series, and I will be coming up with new exciting videos in Claude Code for investment research. Make sure to stay tuned. I will see you in the next one.